Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ash Dior, and in today's case I will be speaking about the senseless murder of someone that you may recognize, a film star, Merlin Santana. On March 14th, 1976, Merlin Santana was born to Dominican parents in Upper Manhattan, New York. Merlin's mother, Leah Santana, decided to give Merlin his name based off of a 1964 Disney character, Merlin the Magician. And she gave him this name because Leah had complications at birth, leaving Merlin with a 50-50 chance of survival. And when he pulled through, it was described as a miracle, as if someone had done magic. Leah also got Merlin involved into modeling at a very young age, and one day he was discovered by a talent scout. From the day that he met this talent scout, Merlin's career literally just took off. He was featured in multiple fast food commercials. Merlin's neighborhood was drug infested and violent, so acting was a way for Merlin to stay out of trouble and not become a statistic. By the age of 10, Merlin had appeared in numerous commercials, and he made his first television appearance on the Woody Allen film The Purple Rose of Cairo. In 1991, Merlin was casted as Stanley on The Cosby Show. He was then casted as Marcus Dixon in the sitcom Getting By, and casted in more sitcoms such as Under One Roof, Moesha, and Sister Sister. Then in 1996, Merlin was casted as Romeo Santana on The Steve Harvey Show, and what I've noticed is that Merlin loves playing roles that allow him to be himself, that allow him to be Afro-Latino, so that he can give recognition to the Afro-Latino community.
Good. I know exactly what you... Hold on a minute. Mira, este es mi nieto. El papá de él fue el que tú casi le metiste una bala, así que no enseñe la cara por aquí o la cosa se va a poner heavy, mi hermano. ¿Tú me estás oyendo? Yeah, I act like you know.
Merlin was both the heartthrob and the smooth talker in real life as well as on television. And while Merlin's acting career had started to flourish, he decided to start his rapping career, and Merlin loved rapping just as much as he loved acting, and he was pretty good at it too. Even though Merlin was at the height of his career, he still went back to his old neighborhood to just simply hang out, talk to the youth, pay homage, because he wasn't ashamed of where he came from. I think that's what a lot of people appreciated. He would always celebrate his Dominican heritage. He would always, be humble, charismatic, loving, fun, and he just didn't care. Like, he just lived life like there was no tomorrow. To show his versatility when it came to acting, he decided to play more serious roles as well, such as Jermaine in the movie Flossin', a role in Played with Toni Braxton, and many more films. Merlin received nominations from the ALMA Awards, which is used to celebrate Afro-Latinos in the arts, and he was nominated in the NAACP Awards, used to celebrate people of color. One of the last films that Merlin appeared in was The Blues with Dionne Richmond, which released in 2003, 9 months after Merlin's death. Unfortunately, tragedy would unravel itself on November 9th, 2002. But let's go to the day prior, November 8th, 2002. Merlin was spending the night at a friend's house recording new music in Los Angeles, California, and there he was accompanied by his best friend and fellow actor, Brandon Quentin Adams. The two of them met on set in the early 90s, and they have been best friends ever since. Brandon has been involved in the acting industry ever since he was a toddler, and he got his first role as Phil on the sitcom Benson. He also played in sitcoms such as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Moesha, and Sister Sister. And I think something that's super funny is that both Brandon and Merlin played ex-boyfriends of Moesha on the show Moesha, if you guys watch. But anyways, Merlin was only planning on staying in LA for a little bit before going back to New York, but his trip was extended due to a last-minute audition for a new TV show, so he had to basically stay in LA. At around midnight, Merlin ends up calling a woman he knows by the name of Mercedes, and they end up sleeping together. This was something that they did casually. And afterwards, Merlin asked her if she wanted to stay and hang out with him and his friends. But according to Brandon, she was acting very strange. Like, something about her behavior was just off. Her vibe was off. Everything was just different. Mercedes then makes a call before abruptly saying that she needed to leave. And as she left, Brandon saw that she was getting into a dark-colored SUV that was parked like a few blocks away from the house, as if they didn't want to be seen. And apparently there were 2 men in this car as well. This dark-colored vehicle decided to drive down a few blocks before stopping, and Brandon had a bad feeling. Just like he had a bad feeling about Mercedes, he had a bad feeling about the people in this car. So he informed Merlin, and then they both decided to leave the house into their own vehicle. So Brandon and Merlin got into their vehicle, and when Brandon got in and looked at his left side mirror, he noticed a red laser. And as he looked closer, he noticed two men running towards them with guns. Brandon then frantically informs Merlin to duck his head, and they drive off. As they're driving off, this gunfire only lasts about a few seconds, mind you, only a few seconds. But in those few seconds, one bullet would enter through the trunk and through the right passenger seat, hitting Merlin in the head. And now Brandon is just freaking out. He's hoping that the injury isn't as bad as it looks, as Merlin is now bleeding profusely through the head and he slumped forward from the gunshot. While Brandon is driving, he ends up flagging down a patrol car, and EMS and police ended up coming to the scene, and immediately they want to know the last person that Merlin spoke to, but Brandon already knew. He mentioned Mercedes, of course, and how strangely she was acting before she had left the house.
Mr. Santana was still seated in the passenger seat. He suffered a gunshot wound to the back of his head. Of course, there was a tremendous amount of blood spatter inside of the vehicle.
Just before 3 a.m., Merlin Santana is pronounced dead at the scene. Police quickly seal off the intersection and the street where the shooting took place.
We discovered 9 .30 caliber casings. 30 caliber bullet can also be construed as an assault type rifle. It's a bullet that can cause a lot of damage.
Despite the multiple rounds fired at the car, it's a single freak rifle shot that kills Merlin.
The bullet actually entered the trunk of the car, went through the back seat, went through the passenger side headrest, hit Merlin Santana in the back of the head. The fact that it took that trajectory and ended up killing Merlin Santana was just incredible.
So with this information, police ended up asking Brandon if he could give Mercedes a call. And in this call, Brandon would be asking Mercedes to meet up at a restaurant. And obviously when Brandon gets there, he does not get there alone. He arrives with the police. And then the police ended up taking Mercedes into questioning. They take this girl into questioning. This girl is lying about everything. This girl is lying about everything down to her name, her age, where she's from. Like, she's just lying, giving the police a hard-ass time. So, with the fact that she's not telling the truth, police ended up getting her cell phone records, and her cell phone records revealed that her name is actually Monique King, not Mercedes. Apparently, Monique/Mercedes lied about her age to Merlin and her friends, saying that she was 21, when in fact, this girl was 15. This girl was 15 years old. Her cell phone records also led police to a 21-year-old man named Damian Gates. So they end up finding his house, they search his house, find him, and then they also find one .30 caliber bullet. And it matches the same bullet that was found at the scene. Throughout the search, they also find a 25-year-old man named Brandon Douglas Bynes, and they arrested them both. Now, get this. It is later revealed that one time after Monique/Mercedes hooked up with Merlin, she had told him that she wanted a relationship. He did not want a relationship. He just told her straight up, I don't agree with what you want. I can't give you what you want. And she just could not take that. This made her angry. This made her angry to the point where she would tell her alleged boyfriend and his friend that Merlin had sexually assaulted her and that she was with him against her will. And the two men that she had told this to was Brandon Douglas Bynes and Damian Gates. So basically these two grown men took it into their own hands to murder this star based off of what a 15-year-old girl had told them. That was the motive. That was the whole reason why this even went down. Because Mercedes could not take getting rejected. So police went on to arrest these two men, and Damian Gates was sentenced to 70 years to life in prison because he was the one who had fired the fatal shot that killed Merlin, and then Damian Gates was sentenced to 23 years in prison. Since Monique/Mercedes was only 15 at the time, she was sentenced to the California Youth Authority, and she was released actually in 2009. Now, when it comes to Monique's background, it is alleged that her mother was a prostitute, and it is known for a fact that she is a runaway from a juvenile facility. After Merlin's death, Monique did not stay out of trouble with the law. I mean, just a year later, she was arrested for selling her body. Then again, in 2011, she was arrested for prostitution and served 20 days. Then again, months later for violating her probation. As of now, in 2023, there are no traces of Monique anywhere. We don't even know what she looks like really, but she's pretty much off the radar. We don't know where she is. Now, apparently there was some controversy around Merlin's death. He was painted out to be a thug on the media, and there were some accusations made that he had knowingly slept with an underage girl. But as far as we know, his family has come out numerous times claiming that these allegations are false. They are not true. So I would please leave the comments clean, because as far as we know, these allegations are false. Merlin Santana was buried on November 18th, 2002 in St. Raymond's Cemetery in the Bronx. Merlin's best friend, Brandon, withdrew from the industry for more than 10 years. He took a huge break to just cope with witnessing the death of his best friend, because I'm sure none of us can really imagine experiencing that unless you have. It's a very tragic situation. It just blows my mind how everything unfolded. After years of healing, Brandon made a return in 2014 in the short film Stuck in the Corners, and more recently in the TV series Reborn. Merlin will always be remembered for his phenomenal roles on television and film, and he basically paved the way for Afro-Latinos and represented his culture every chance he got. It is so frustrating to see young talents go, especially in the way that Merlin went. I mean, he was set up, he was senselessly murdered. It didn't need to happen. No murder needs to happen, granted, but just the way this all went down is just really, really heartbreaking. Merlin has a daughter from a past on and off again relationship, and her name is Melinda Santana. And Melinda Santana recently graduated from college, and she celebrated her dad through her graduation card, which I thought was really, really cute. Merlin also has a brother, and he has a YouTube channel with his wife where they share stories that they love to remember about Merlin. And they also named their son Merlin. So Merlin Santana has a nephew named Merlin. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed diving into this case with me. And if you did, don't be shy and engage. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and please share your thoughts down below, because I would love to hear what you guys think of this case. I will see you guys in the next one.